Trump has his fingers on the nuclear button. I've been thinking about this more and more lately because, I grew up in the nuclear age my entire life, and yours too. Has been overshadowed by the very real possibility, and at times in the past 60 years, probability, but the very real possibility that we would hear something on radio or television about a nuclear launch and it'd be over real quick and we'd all be dead. But that last moment of thinking, oh my God, damn, are you, boom. And I wonder sometimes how we, you and me, have managed to process that. I guess by ignoring it, just like thinking about our own deaths, we don't, unless we're dealing with a terminal illness, at which point I guess we have no choice. But we don't think about death. I don't think about my death that much, although the older I get, the more it's becoming difficult not to. But to think about mega death, not where just I die or the people in the foothills of the North Georgia mountains die, but hundreds of millions of people in the United States and whoever launched the attack against us, we all die. That's pretty awful. Trump doesn't know shit about anything regarding government, but he especially doesn't know anything about our nuclear arsenal because it's a triad. It's missiles, bombs, and bombers and submarines. If you ask Donald Trump what a triad is, there's no way in hell he could even tell you what the word means, much less what it means in application to our nuclear destruction. He has no idea about our nuclear capabilities. He says he likes unpredictability. I guess in fascist Trump's brain, that means, he's being slick. Well, nobody's going to know if I'm going to launch nuclear weapons. That'll keep them all upset. Trump with control of nuclear weapons, to me, is just unspeakable, unthinkable. If anything, the fascist Trump has demonstrated his craziness, not just his volatility, but his actual clinically defined craziness. I mean, he really is. I don't know what you call toxic narcissism, if not something that is definably aberrant behavior. I know we don't use the word crazy anymore, do we? Of course not. Mentally ill, unbalanced, in need of help, whatever. What's some more, Kathy? We don't say crazy. No, that's different. Mentally challenged. Now, to me, that would indicate like maybe a traumatic brain injury or something. I'm talking about those conditions that are listed in the DSM-5, diagnosable, clinical, mental disorders. That's kind of a blanket term. Well, Trump has 3 or 4 of them, and because of that, it puts you and I at risk to a level that we don't think about. I think it was last week I shared with you that the, what's it called? The doomsday clock was set by the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists. It was set to 2.5 minutes before midnight. And that's, These scientists believe that we're closer to a nuclear catastrophe now than we have been since 1953. And what happened in 1953 that made them move the clock to where it is now was the fact that the United States and the Soviet Union tested hydrogen bombs. And then over the years, it kind of dropped back. We had test ban agreements after thousands of nuclear tests all over the planet. But we had test ban agreements, and we had disarmament agreements, and this and that, and the clock kept moving back a little bit and back a little bit. But now it is closer to midnight than it has been. But anyway, the Bureau or the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, they say that the reason they have moved it to 2.5 minutes before midnight is because of Trump. Not because there has been some change in the nuclear madness that has infected this planet for the past 60 years, 70 years. No. That's a constant, you might say. But Trump is the variable. And when you have a variable that is as goddamn insane as Trump is, and as much of a megalomaniac, as much of a 10-year-old who just doesn't like other people to play with his toys, I mean, Jesus Christ, surely, certainly, without a doubt, somewhere in the U.S. government, where there are people in positions of power, an agreement has already been made that if this son of a bitch Trump even thinks nuclear bombs and releasing them, they are to go into action and stop him. I say certainly, surely, hell, I don't know. But for a guy that can piss off world leaders just so, in such a cavalier way, like, fuck you, and hang up the phone. Except on his buddy Putin. Jesus Christ, what a death lock those two have, right? Huh? Remember back in December, he was interviewed on television, and he said, I forget who the interviewer was, but he said, let it be an arms race. And before that, he had said, I would certainly not do a first strike. And then he followed up by saying, well, I can't take anything off the table. Now, we can say all the things that need to be said about the madness and insanity of having nuclear weapons available to so many different fucked up people, including some of our own. But there's never been anyone like Donald Trump, who by virtue of, what have I read, 77,000 votes total in 4 states, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin, out of 150 or 120 million cast, that because of those 77,000, he picked up electoral votes when, in fact, his competitor beat him by 3 million popular votes. Trump has no business being in the presidency, even less so than George W. Bush did.